Hello everyone. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about JavaScript variables. So let's get started. Okay, first things first. What is a variable? A variable is something that stores data. For example, var number equals 5. Var is what we use to declare the variable. It's called a keyword. We use var because JavaScript knows what var means. If we use something other than var, like variable, JavaScript won't know what that means, and it will give us an error. Number is the name of the variable, and 5 is the data, in this case, a number. We put an equal sign in between to indicate that this variable stores this value. There are two other ways of declaring a variable. The first one is let, and the second one is const. Let's first talk about let. Let is just like var, but it can't be redeclared. For example, if I were to say let number is equal to 5, and then in the middle of my code I said let number is equal to 6, I can't do that because that's called redeclaring, and it will give me an error. Cannot redeclare block scope variable number. I'm going to talk about block scope later in the video. This is just saying I can't recreate an already existing variable. So I've created this variable, and now I'm recreating it with the new value. It doesn't matter if you put in the same value, you're still redeclaring the variable. If you want to change the value of the variable, you have to reassign the variable. So right now I've declared the variable, its name is number, and I gave it a value of 5. Now I want to reassign the variable. To do that, I just have to type in the name of the variable, which is number, and then the new value. I can put in an already existing value like 5, or I can put in a new value like 101. We type in the name so that JavaScript knows what variable it's looking for. So if I add another variable like let number 2 equals 6, JavaScript will know it shouldn't change the value of this variable, it should change the value of this variable because you put in the name of the variable. One more thing. Variables declared with the let keyword cannot be seen from outside of a block. So, for example, if I created a block of code, like an if statement, so basically this is anything inside of a curly bracket is considered a block of code. So if I create an if statement, if, let me create a variable here, var number is equal to 10, and then if number is greater than 9, run this block of code. So if I created a variable, a variable with the let keyword, so variable number 2 is equal to 10, I can't use that variable outside of this block. Now let's talk about const. Const is like let, but it can't be redeclared or reassigned. With let, you can't redeclare it, but you can reassign it. But with const, you can't redeclare it or reassign it. For example, I can't say const number equals 6 and then const number equals 5. I can't do that. It'll give me the same error as it did with let. And also, it can't be reassigned. So if I said const number is equal to 5, and then I said number is equal to 6, it's not showing me that error, but there is an error. If I run the code, you'll see it. There, assignment to constant variable. Basically meaning we've reassigned this variable, which we can't do. Also, variables declared with const have to be assigned. For example, with let and var, I could just say let number, and then I don't have to give it a value. I can give it a value later in the code, like number equals 7. But with const, I can't do that. So if I said const number, I can't do that. Const declarations must be initialized. Now let's talk about JavaScript scope. Scope determines the accessibility or visibility of variables. JavaScript has 3 types of scope: block scope, function scope, and global scope. Let's first talk about block scope. Before ES6, or the latest version of JavaScript created in 2015, JavaScript only had global scope and function scope. ES6 introduced 2 important new JavaScript keywords, let and const. These 2 keywords provide block scope in JavaScript. Variables declared inside a curly bracket block, which is these, cannot be seen from outside of this block, like with let. Let and const both have block scope. The var keyword cannot have block scope. Variables declared with var that are declared inside of a curly bracket block can be accessed from outside the block. So variable declared with the var keyword, var number equals 5. This can be accessed from outside of the block. Now let's talk about function scope. Variables defined inside a function are not visible outside of the function. It's basically like block scope. So I create a function. Let's call it num. Stands for number. So I create like a var number equals 5. This has function scope. So it cannot be accessed from outside of the function. All three keywords have function scope: var, let, and const. Finally, let's talk about global scope. Variables declared outside a function becomes global. So for example, let me create a function here. Num stands for number. So any variable declared outside of this function can be used anywhere in the code. All variables have global scope. Now let's talk about when you should use JavaScript var, let, and const. Always declare JavaScript variables with var, let, or const. The var keyword is used in all JavaScript code from 1995 to 2015. If you want your code to run in older browsers, you must use var. But some older browsers do let you use let and const. The let and const keywords were added to JavaScript in 2015. When to use them? If you want a general rule, always declare variables with const. So if you think your variables won't change, like their value, for example, const number equal to 5, if you think this value won't change to like 10, you can declare your variables with const. But if you think the variable can change, use let. Because let, you can reassign the variable, but with const, you can't reassign it. So with let, I can do number equals 10. But with const, I can't do that. It'll give me an error.